Hello and welcome to our fabulous listeners. I'm your host, Moira Geary, and this is your Positivity Project. For those of you that don't know me, I'm an author and speaker, and I have a personal development company. And I specialise in teaching people who are stressed, overwhelmed, procrastinating, and are driven by fear how to live more enriched, courageous, and calmer lives.
Now, this big word, self-sabotage. You talk about it a lot in your work. What exactly does it mean?
Yeah, it sounds frightening, baby.
It's awful, awful.
It's
I'm
like
scared
you're going to
already.
Consume yourself. Basically, it means that when we are going to do something, that we've got kind of like a push-pull, so you've got your foot on the accelerator and on the brake at the same time. And often people will describe it as part of me wants to do this and part of me wants to do that. And one of the probably most important aspects of my work is my ability to listen for flags when people are talking. So when I hear that coming up, part of me this and part of me that, I'm not saying that it's always that a negative thing, but if somebody is working on a problem, and definitely if there are two parts stuck in that problem, then we need to investigate a little bit more.
And how would you do that?
Okay, so how we would investigate that is that if we think about it, the two parts are part of our mind or part of our thinking. And in our thinking, we're thinking more often than not subconsciously. And also it's really important to remind everybody that the primary function of our subconscious is to protect us. So even though we have a push-pull, it's like there's two parts in there, or two aspects of us, that one that wants to step out and create that amazing business, and one that's going, don't go out there, what if everything goes wrong?
Yeah.
Or somebody wants to step up on a stage and share their message or their story, and the other part is going, remember the last time you went up, or do you remember the time you were in school? Now, it's not doing it consciously, but it'll recreate that nervous feeling of what happened.
And of course, Winnie the Pooh was the expert on that subject.
Really?
Yeah, she went out for a walk in the woods with Piglet. I think it was Piglet. And of course, Piglet was so nervous and said, oh, what if the trees fall down? Yeah. And my philosopher, Winnie the Pooh, boldly said, what if they don't?
Exactly.
So that's the way to conquer, I think, the what if. No room for it. What if they don't? We all have a natural tendency to think, my God, if that happens, what will I do? And how often does it happen?
It doesn't. We could say that most of what we worry about, I think 98% of it never happens, and we catastrophize as well. And again, that's the natural instinct of the subconscious in its bid to protect us. It will try and run scenarios ahead just to say, watch out, watch out, watch out. And then because we have that one part doing that, and then we've got the other part that's going, not at all, everything's great. I'm sure I'm well able to do this. But then the other one is pulling. So that's where we have that conflict. So if I'm working with the client, there is quite an in-depth process that we do where we look for the primary positive intention of both parts. So both of them are
primary positive intention.
Yeah.
That's a big phrase.
It is, absolutely.
Tell us a little more about that.
Break that down for you. So you have two parts here, and both of them are, one is pulling and one is pushing, whichever way it is. So what we're looking for is basically, if they're in conflict, we're looking to create a solution or resolution between them. So if we just work out why did they set themselves up originally? What was the positive intention? Because if they're part of the subconscious and they're there to protect us, there must be a reason why they set themselves up. So if this part is pulling me back, it's to protect me. If this part is pushing me out, it's also to protect me in a way as well. So through the process, we get them to almost like talk to each other so that they can see that both of them actually want the same thing.
But where does the self-sabotage come into that? Okay,
because they're in conflict and one is pulling and pushing, then that's where you're stopped. You're not going to move if you've got the foot on the brake and the foot on the accelerator at the same time. But then by taking these two parts and coming down to the real reason why they created themselves, and then they realize, well, actually we both want the same thing. So what we can do is a process where we take the energy, if you like, or the feeling or the fear out of this part, so that it doesn't feel the fear anymore, but it knows it's being supported by this part. And this part knows that this part is going to look out for it.
So it's a bit like the great book in the 70s, I think, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
A little bit. However, I would be, and even though I think that's a great book, I don't like the idea of pushing through fear, because there's no need to. I prefer, because if we're pushing through fear, the reason why we're doing it is because we've had experiences in our past that created the fear. So I would prefer to go back and release the fear out of those memories, and then you don't have to push anywhere. You walk through. So there's no fear walking through. There'll be a little bit of, anticipation, but you'll walk through. And the reason why I'm very comfortable and confident saying this is I have experienced watching thousands of clients that I've worked on to help them to disconnect the emotion from their memories in the past that would have stopped them from public speaking. It might have been a memory in school where a teacher said something and they felt embarrassed. So that embarrassment still sits in the now. So if we disconnect the feeling from the memory, the embarrassment isn't here now, so it's easier for them to step forward. So it would be the same in the self-sabotage, where the piece that's got the resistance in it, it's fear-driven. So we would work on that and disconnect the fear from the part. And what we do then is with the two of them, it's almost like a little bit of a process where I actually get people to put it out in their hands, and it would be a little bit like an NLP technique called parts integration. And what we do is we get the person to get a sense and a feeling of what it feels like, and the two parts integrate. So we do it always like physically outside the body. You don't have to, but it's just a lovely thing to do. And when we do that, people will just go, oh my God, I feel completely different. And I've watched people go through that process, and the next day they're out and have done what they've been sabotaging on for 5 years.
Isn't that just fabulous?
It is amazing, 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 amazing. Now, I don't do it, they do it. I talk them through the process, but everything, all the work I do and all the work that practitioners do that I've trained, none of us do anything for anybody apart from know the techniques. I'm fascinated with this work. I'm really good at it because I'm fascinated at it. It's not that I'm really good at it because I've got a special gift. I don't. I'm just really, really interested and really fascinated with people.
But you have a passion for it.
Yes,
and
that's what creates the passion.
Yeah.
That's what creates the passion. It's my interest in it. It's my intrigue in it. So, but it's really important to make that very clear that I don't do any magic, or nobody does. The person needs to come willing, and then through the process of good questioning and having lots of techniques, they can make the change, and then they're empowered to repeat that again if they want to.
That sounds wonderful. Very valuable for sure.